Well, hey, what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the legend of the Cherry Lake while I do my makeup. This lake has been going by the name of Cherry Lake because of its deep red color. And from what I know, it's located in a rural area of Latvia. This lake is so small that it doesn't really show on any maps, and majority of the locals didn't even know about its existence until recently. The only people who were aware of it are the residents of the small village that borders the lake. However, the recent unaliving of a 13-year-old girl has brought the country's attention to this piece of water. Let's talk about the lake's color. Why is it red? Of course, there are a few bodies of water in the world that have a reddish hue, but it usually happens due to natural or human-based reasons. Most commonly, it has something to do with iron compounds, specifically iron hydroxide. When water with iron dissolves in rock and sediment moves into the water, it can oxidize and turn a reddish hue. However, the multiple tests done on this lake have not shown any of these iron compounds, so the lake's color still remains a mystery. The locals had many theories regarding the origin of this lake's color. Through numerous records, it was established that the lake was not always red and was actually a normal color sometime in the distant past. So something must have happened to change the lake's color. The locals have many theories, and their stories range from witches to nuclear bomb tests. But here are some of the most popular theories. Many believe that the witches in early Europe used this lake as a fountain of youth, and the rituals performed with the water have cursed the lake. Others say that this lake is a working of Christ. I actually couldn't find much information about this theory, but I'd like to believe that it has something to do with turning water into wine, because if that's the case, then I want to live there too. Another theory is that the government did their first nuclear bomb test in that area, and the nuclear waste left in the water changed its chemistry. And of course, there are the skeptics who think that the lake was manually colored to attract tourists, which I think would be a valid theory if people actually knew about the lake's existence. And the theories go on. Regardless of what happened to the lake, it changed its color, forever leaving it a deep cherry hue. The red color is not the only talking point about this lake. I learned that aside from the name Cherry Lake, the locals have also given it a nickname of the Dead Lake, and not for the reason that you think. This nickname was actually inspired by the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea is called dead because it has an extremely high salt content, which makes it unable to support most forms of life, including fish and plants. The Cherry Lake, however, has no salt in it at all, but still has no bacteria or fish or any living organisms. So the lake was believed to have magical powers, and for ages there was an urban legend going around stating that the lake has healing and antibacterial properties. And the people in this village took this legend to heart. It was said that people with infected wounds would use the lake's water for disinfection, and the wounds would heal in days. Infertile women who drank the lake's water were suddenly able to get pregnant. People with incurable diseases would inject the lake's water into their veins and would suddenly be cured. The Cherry Lake was the pride and joy of this village. At first, I couldn't understand how people actually believed this legend was true, but considering that this was a really unwealthy village, it makes more sense. When people don't have access to medicine, it's understandable to turn to the supernatural for help. And you probably know where the story is going. What was thought to be healing was actually the opposite. Turns out that some of the theories about this lake were actually true. While there was no actual nuclear bomb test in that area, there was a significant amount of nuclear waste that was dumped in the water years ago. And everyone who came in contact with the water was essentially giving themselves radiation poisoning. And you may be wondering how it took so long for people to realize the dangers of this lake. Well, this village primarily had an elderly population, and the older folk who needed medical attention were the ones primarily drinking the water. So when these people would pass away, everyone just assumed that it was due to their age or due to an underlying medical problem. And no one thought to connect this to the lake until a 13-year-old girl who was visiting the village swam in that lake. And her departure is what brought the story to light. The access to the lake has been closed since then, and it's still under investigation. And while the nuclear waste does explain all of the deaths in the area, the red color of the lake still remains a mystery. And maybe the number of lives that this lake has took exceeds what we had originally thought, and the color of the lake is not a chemical reaction, but rather the result of the decayed, bleeding bodies piled up at the bottom. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Your support literally means the world to me. And also, if you guys like this video, I may do more of these. And if you don't like them, then I will not do more of these. And of course, this is my finished makeup look. I'm obsessed. And I do have to tell you that this entire story was fiction, and I did write it myself. It was actually inspired by a real dream that I had where I was the girl who swam in the Cherry Lake. Did not end good. Don't say anything about the story being fake in the comments though. Let's confuse the people who didn't watch the video till the end, okay? Pinky promise. Instead, tell me your scariest experience associated with water. For example, I got chased by a stingray once when I was swimming in the ocean. Did not like that. And of course, thank you again for being here, and I will see you another day, another time. Mwah!